Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Fierce Feminine Finance. My name is Sarah Nicole Nadler, your host. And today we have, for April Fools, a very fun topic we're going to talk about, which is how to not get April fooled by a cyber criminal this year. So I'm very excited to welcome back to the show for the second time, Burton Kelso, a local cybersecurity expert. Yeah, one of those directions.
Right.
And we have actually spoken before, Burton, and it's been about a year since we did. So I thought this would be a good time to bring you back on the show, talk a little bit more about how to protect a small family-owned business from a cyber attack. And things change really fast in the cyber world. So if you could give us a little update, what's been new? What's happening in 2023, 2024 in terms of cyber attacks?
Well, AI is the big topic overall that we're talking about because with AI deepfakes, which are instances where criminals will use your face and plant it over somebody else and make it look like you're saying stuff you're not really saying. And of course, voice cloning with AI has taken prominence in the past year as far as cyber threats are concerned. One major threat that was confirmed to use voice cloning was the MGM Grand hack of last summer, where criminals used voice cloning to trick a poor employee into giving out credentials to log into the MGM Grand. Once criminals got access to this information, they performed a ransomware attack, and the MGM Grand was held hostage for a few weeks. But more recently, as far as cyber attacks, over the weekend, AT&T released that they had a cyber breach of about 74 million current and past customers' information, I think over a period of several years. As a result, AT&T is issuing credit monitoring services for all of its customers. And if you've had to log into your AT&T account this morning, then it is a sign that AT&T reset the passwords for those accounts to prevent criminals from gaining access to them. So it's been quite busy over
Yeah,
the past
wow.
few.
So, in preparation for chatting with you a second time, Burton, I did a little bit of research and I found that about 47% of all cyber attacks actually happen to small businesses like mine or yours that have less than 100 employees. And I went, wow, that really makes sense. If I were a criminal mastermind, I would probably want to go after the businesses that are least likely to have a big security budget. So, you shared in our last episode some really good tips on ways that we could protect ourselves. I don't want to make this a repeat of that, but are there any updates in 2024, things that we could look for as tools to protect ourselves?
Yeah, people need to realize that cybercrime is a human problem. It means criminals aren't breaking into your phones or other devices like your computers in your smart home. It means criminals are sending out sophisticated phishing attacks using social engineering. And now, obviously, that's changed in the past year because AI allows criminals to make the perfect cyber attack. And with all of these cyber attacks, it's estimated that 99% of them require you to click on in order for you to get hacked. So keep in mind that you need to build up your human firewall in order to keep safe from all of the cyber attacks out there. So updated things that you want to do. Number one would be to set up two-factor or multi-factor authentication for every account you owned. One of the things that multi-factor authentication can prevent are social media attacks, which have increased tremendously over the past year. Come on, admit it. You know somebody who has said, "Oh my gosh, my account has been hacked," and or you have been the victim of a social media account hack. And these are increasing because criminals realize that small businesses and individuals do a lousy job as far as changing the passwords to their social media accounts. Same thing with websites. Websites are being hacked as well. They're web accessible. Criminals know that you probably haven't changed the password to your small business website. So they are targeting those especially when small businesses are concerned. And usually, if it concerns a website or social media, once you lose that digital marketing tool, you can never, ever get it back.
Yeah, that is so scary. And I think for a lot of small businesses, like, maybe 20, 30 years ago, having your website hacked was like the last thing they were really worried about. But these days, like your website's the number one place people look, even if they've been referred by a friend, right? If someone tells me about my new dentist or something, a good friend says, hey, go see Dr. So and so, I'm going to check out their website before I do anything else. Before I pick up the phone, before I book an appointment, people are cyber stalking like never before in the professional space. And so if that, I go there and all of a sudden I'm seeing like weird adult content or, or it's shut down, it makes you look really unprofessional if it's not there. So even 24, 48 hours of being held ransom can have a really big financial impact on a business. So, Burton, I was curious, when last time we spoke, you mentioned some statistics and numbers in terms of how long a business usually survives after a serious data breach. Would you mind resharing those numbers and any updates you have for this year?
Yeah, it still stands that if you've suffered a data breach and you've had to disclose to your customers, you're probably going to be out of business in 6 months because there's going to be a loss of confidence of people wanting to deal with you. So, as a business, obviously your first job is to make money, but your second job is to make sure that you're saving your client data and making sure that they aren't falling victim to data breaches out there. Because, again, with the help of AI, your Nigerian prince emails are no longer. You're going to get more sophisticated emails with no grammatical errors, with great sentence structure, especially when it pertains to us in the United States. And it's going to be very easy for you to fall victim for a multitude of scams out there. So beware of phishing schemes, and they come in a variety of models. And it's just not catfish, walleye, or carp. You're talking phishing in the form of voice call phishing, which is called vishing. Also, there is SMS phishing, which is called smishing, and those attacks have increased. And SMS text messaging scams are very prevalent right now because I'm sure people are getting those scams that says, "Hey, are we still meeting for dinner tonight?" Or our piano lessons tonight, or I've got a great proposition for you. So you want to beware of those phishing or smishing attacks that come across like it's a friend or a buddy or someone who's lost, because it's basically cyber criminals trying to groom you to get closer to you so that they can reach into your back pocket and steal your money.
Super scary. And yeah, as you mentioned, again, I was doing a little bit of my own research before I jumped this call, so I would sound like I knew what I was talking about when I interviewed Burton, although we both know that you're really the expert on this topic. But I read that 55% of US-based consumers say that they will not go back to a company that's had a data breach, even if that company is AT&T or a larger company that's trusted by many people. They will move. 55% will say that they will move their business to another company if they have some kind of data breach. So that could have a huge impact. And one thing I've been seeing more and more of that I'm curious if you have what your thoughts are on this is cyber insurance, right? Like finding a way to protect yourself, obviously by one, having better security, but two, in case there is a data breach, having insurance to protect yourself from the loss and also from the fallout in the future, and able to rebuild your reputation with people because you have some cash flow coming in. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Sarah, that's a good question. And cyber insurance is a good idea if you've got a lot of digital assets. But the problem is with cyber insurance, you can't just get it and expect your insurance company to cover you. You have to follow the rules as far as building up your human firewall in order for that cyber insurance to kick in. So if you're using weak passwords, if you're using passwords instead of passphrases, and if you don't have two-factor authentication set up with your online accounts, guess what? Your insurance company is not going to pay out if you become a victim of a cyber breach. It used to be when they first started, didn't matter if you had weak passwords or you just were not doing what you were supposed to do as far as your cybersecurity fitness. But now insurance companies are starting to clamp down or lock down to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So now more than ever, it pays to help protect yourself by incorporating good cybersecurity fitness. But also, if you're thinking about getting cybersecurity insurance, you've got to make sure that you've got everything buttoned down on your end, or else all those premiums you paid are going to be wasted because your insurance company won't cover you.
And it's not really the cheapest form of insurance out there. I was getting quotes for around $150 a month minimum for even a small business. So I think you're right that probably self-insuring by just right like locking the door before you leave the house is much cheaper than right having to pay a bunch of money when someone breaks in. So we have a guest on with us live right now who has a good question. So I'm going to throw that up on the screen, and Burton, let's take a look at it. It says, regarding privacy and security for texting or video calling, what apps would you recommend?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question, but it all boils down to what are you doing in order to ensure your firewall? Again, you have to understand that as long as you don't click on stuff, you're going to be safe from 99% of the cyber threats out there. So the best thing that you can do, or the best app you can do, is yourself, making sure that you're using two-factor authentication, making sure that you're using passphrases instead of passwords, and making sure that you, and I'm trying to think of a good term for it, but just make sure that you understand what cyber threats are out there and to use common sense. So if it looks weird, what's that old adage? If it looks like a duck, it acts like a duck,
It
it's
might be a
probably a
duck.
duck. And that's not to belittle the conversation about cybersecurity, but it really, at this day and age, is a human problem. Every cyber threat that you've read about in the past 5 years, I guarantee you there's someone behind it. And I don't mean the criminal attacking the business, I mean someone inside the corporation that clicked on the link that allowed criminals to get in and steal information. It can be things like IT left a password as password on the company server. Could be that I won't say Sarah, but we'll say Angie was used the company email for Amazon, and some criminals sent a link from Amazon saying, "Oh, your account's been compromised. Click on this link." It could be an email coming in from a stranger for a ransomware attack, or even fake invoices. Criminals are always thinking of new and improved ways in order to trick you to get your information, because it's easier to trick a person than it is to hack into a computer.
Interesting.
And then
So
one,
when it does come to
I
text
was
or
gonna
video calling, oh, sorry, Burton,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
add one other thing. As far as antivirus software is concerned and all of your devices, it's already built in. There's really no need for third-party apps or programs in order to keep your stuff safe. It's already built in. So again, it's just due diligence and making sure you're not falling for those phishing threats that come into your devices.
I love what you said about that because I feel like there are a lot of instances where we kind of consider ourselves to be the effect of these cyber criminals or the effect of tech companies that we really have no control over. But what I like about your message, Burton, both today and last year when we did this similar interview, was it really is within our control, right? We do not have to sit here and feel like we are the effect of some great, computer programmer who's hopefully going to be better than some hacker out there, right? No, it's what you and I do. It's the actions that we take ultimately, no matter what app we're using, no matter what software we are, have our business on. So I really want to validate that attitude you have, and the fact that it's actually quite reassuring, I think, for businesses to realize that, like, if we just adopt good, as you called it, cybersecurity fitness, right? Like, you have a good fitness program. That's right. Just like you guys, you got to look at Burton's background, right? He's got all of those superheroes back there ready to protect you in the cyber world, right? So if we just adopt these good practices, that will handle 99% of what's happening, right? Now,
That's
one
right.
thing that we have a lot of, Burton, in my community is women who are looking at finding online ways to earn passive income. So this has been a really big thing in the last couple of months that we've been focusing on, is like online courses, building funnels that sell something, e-commerce, that type of thing. And I'm curious, are there unique struggles or unique risks that people take when they start a business like that, and what are some things that they should do? If I'm an offline business owner who's never really been in the online space, what are some best practices for when I start launching my first e-commerce store or online course?
Well, you definitely need to pay attention to which platform that you're jumping on. You definitely need to do your research, because there's all sorts of ads and tools for you to get started online, but you need to do your own research and, of course, talk to experts and peers to find out what's worked for them. Yes, it's sometimes hard to find help, but you could even use AI to help you find out the best resources out there as far as your research is concerned. But research, 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 because there's a lot of scammy platforms out there, and you want to make sure that you're going to use one that's going to benefit your business rather than taking your business down.
That's a good tip for sure. And again, we have some really active audience members today. So here's another really good one. Do you recommend using a password manager?
Yes, I recommend using a password manager as long as it's not LastPass. But to be honest, for most people, most small businesses, the best password manager is the one built into your web browser. Doesn't matter if you use Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Brave browser, Opera browser, even Tor and Safari. All web browsers have password managers built into them, and you better take advantage of them, because number one, password managers allow you to keep track of all of those different, I'm going to say it again, different passwords for your online accounts. Also, pass managers will alert you when that week old password that you've been using winds up on the dark web, and it will warn you that you need to change it because it's on the dark web. So yeah, whatever browser you're using, take advantage of the password manager. And probably one of the most robust password managers out there within a browser would be the Google Password Manager with this built in the Chrome.
That's so cool. I didn't know that it will actually warn you like that. That's very interesting.
That means you are
And
using Password Manager, Sarah. If you didn't know it warned you, I'm giving you a hard time.
clearly I should be. You mean I wasn't supposed to have the same password on all of my platforms?
That's
Oh,
right.
golly. No. Well, cool. This is really wonderful. Thank you so much again, Bert, for coming on with us today. I'm curious if any of my audience really feels like they could use a little bit more expertise, eyeballs on their business to make sure they're doing their own best practices, or if they're having any technical issues. I know you're the expert for that. So what would be the best way to reach you?
I'm all over the interwebs, as I like to still call it. Just look for Burton Kelso on any social media platform, or visit my website at www.burtonkelso.com. I have a weekly blog with tips and tricks that are designed to help you get the most out of the technology you use at home and work. And I also do a weekly YouTube series of video tech tips and tricks to help you stay fit, or not financially fit, with your cybersecurity and with your technology.
Love it. And if anybody does want financial fitness, I'm here for you guys. But really, Burton's the one. If you have any tech questions, he's the man to call. Thank you again so much for coming on the show with us today, Burton. We will, guys, for anyone watching the replay, I will be linking the link to
Yeah.
our last interview where he went more in depth on specific things you can do to protect your business, which was about a year ago. I'll be linking that below this on the show notes page. So watch your email and watch below, and we'll link to that.
One last thing I was going to add. It is April Fool's Day. I want to remind everyone, don't be an April Fool. Make sure that you back up your stuff on a regular basis. So if something traumatic happens, then you can have access to your backups. Yesterday was World Backup Day. So always back up your stuff, get cyber fit, and don't be fooled from all of these cyber threats that are out there.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.